What is up, guys? Private Eye Russ here, and welcome to another episode of the Private Eye Russ podcast. I am your host, Private Eye Russ, owner, operator, full-service private investigations and security consulting firm, corporate theft investigations, litigation support investigations, criminal defense support investigations, premarital background investigations. I can't stress this enough. Make sure you are linking yourself to the person or before you link yourself to that person for the rest of your life, in theory, that you understand what their past is, so there are no hidden skeletons in the closet that might come forward and throw a monkey wrench in your relationship. Also, I offer one-on-one personal development coaching. If you need any of these services, reach out to me at RUSS at privateeyruss.com. That's privateeyruss.com, or send me a direct message on X. I'm there every single day. So let's go ahead and get into this. This is not a case file. This is a Hollywood story. And so this one involved another one of my neighbors. I've got a couple that involved my neighbors. I lived in like a little alcove of townhomes, and most of the people there were involved in the industry in one way, shape, or form. Like, one of my neighbors was the costume designer for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series. Another one was a costume designer for, the Phantom and a few other movies. And so, there were actors, producers. One of my roommates was, actually two of my roommates were screenwriters. They were studying at AFI, and so there were a lot of people there. So a lot of stories. So this one in particular, let's call this one. I don't have to call it. I actually named it already. All right, Hollywood side piece goes rogue. All right, so one of my neighbors, she was particularly good looking and talented young woman. Like most everybody there in Hollywood, had a theater background. I myself actually have a theater background. I did a bunch of writing and some acting and producing as well too. And so, and theater does kind of give you an edge when it comes to, performance-based activities, right? As far as, presenting yourself. So, so she came from a theater background. She was studying at AFI as well too, to be a screenwriter. This wasn't one of my roommates. This was a neighbor. Stunning, man, like beautiful. And she had that Hollywood look that they love, which is really, really skinny, really pretty, beautiful hair, really skinny. I mean, like bony skinny, but this is what Hollywood likes, because they say the camera adds 20 pounds. If you guys hear any sounds in the background, there's still some construction going on. And also my dog always waits until I start recording to start cleaning his nether regions as loudly and obnoxiously as possible. So I'm going to do my best to ignore him. Hopefully it doesn't come across in a microphone. If it does, I'm sorry. All right. So, although I think he's about finished. All right. So, so AFI, she would also do, small acting roles, to pay the bills. And that was a common thing. Guys would chase around acting roles. And so they would take really, really flexible jobs. Waiter, waitresses, bussing tables, working sales jobs, so that way when they got an audition or got an opportunity to read sides, which were just the notes or the scripts of parts they were looking for, and they the studios want as many people to compare people to as possible, so people would flock to these hoping to get their big break. And so she would do this sort of thing a bunch, man. She met a director, and this was a big thing. I've seen directors myself. Not big-time directors. Well, actually, I've seen big-time directors do this. If a woman is good-looking, they will swoop in. And there were no DMs back then. But they would slide up to them, and they'd be like, "Hey, you should call me sometime. You'd be really good in pictures. You ought to be in pictures, that sort of thing. I can open the world up to you, my dear. That sort of thing." And that would happen from female directors and male directors and producers and so on and so on. And so, he promised to help get her some more prominent television and movie roles in exchange for a fun bedroom activity, let's just call it, right? And again, this is not something new. This has been going on for a long time. I know people are shocked to hear this sort of thing, that people would ask for and other people would trade fun bedroom activity for work in this industry, but they all go there to be famous. I didn't go there to be famous, but a lot of people do go there to be famous, and that's the place to go. But you got so much competition that even being talented is not enough. Sometimes you need help from a friend. Sometimes people just do it because they like you. Other times, this sort of thing happens, right? So I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just telling you guys how it is, and it's still that way today. It's still that way today. People might say it's not. It's still that way today. The casting couch. That's just how it goes in Hollywood, and I think in other places as well too. So after a while, she was dating this dude for a while. She was getting I guess, buyer's remorse or disillusioned, I guess you could say, just because it's like, okay, I promised to do this for him. I'm not getting any movie roles, not getting any TV roles, but I'm making my payments like he's asked me to. So, she hung in there. She thought at some point, he might actually deliver, but, who knows? All these guys have to do is promise. They don't have to deliver anything because there's nothing written down. All right, so this guy in particular was, he's still alive, so is known for having really unusual proclivities and appetites when it came to fun bedroom activity, and that will come into play later on. And there is a lesson to this, all right? So it's not just a salacious story. Again, I always change stories around. I do that to protect people's privacy, to protect their dignity, but also, too, to keep myself from getting sued. This guy would sue me if I ever put his name out there. And so, yeah, I've actually met him a couple of times. Now, when he meets you in public, it seems like a normal guy. It seems like a regular guy, very charming, very nice, but apparently, the rumors anyway were that he was kind of a freak. All right, so, he was known for weird stuff, right? And she was like, okay, I'm not getting anything, and so we were like, well, a lot of us were kind of like, we told you so, because we did kind of warn her that how many of these promises are ever really followed through on or come to fruition. Very, very few. And so then we saw a change. She was complaining about not getting any roles in exchange for her fun bedroom activity and dating this dude. She landed a TV spot in a like one of those Hallmark movies type thing. It wasn't the Hallmark channel, but it was one of those channels, cable channel, and it was a feature length movie, but it made for TV movie, so it wasn't like a feature film that was going to blockbuster or a big film that going to movie theaters or something like that. And then she got a prominent role, so she was like a co-star. And following that, she's had a flurry of activity where she was being cast in different things all over Hollywood, and we're all sitting there like, oh, wait a second, man. Now, I liked her, man. She was super cool. We would talk a bunch, man, and really, really cool person. Got to meet her mom. Her mom was really cool. Her dad had passed away, but her whole family was just super, super cool. But she was doing what she thought she had to do. Then all of a sudden she hit it big, man. And it doesn't really work that way. Usually if someone becomes gets their big break, it's after they've been grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding for a while, and you really have to work in Hollywood just because everyone's looking to try to take your spot. And so if you want to hold on to your spot, you got to do the schmoozing thing. You've got to go to the parties. You've got to hang out with the people. And sometimes, that's all you got to do. Go hang out with people, party, rub elbows. They get to know you. If they like you, they're going to help you out. If they don't like you, you're screwed. And then there's the darker side of that sort of thing with the fun bedroom activity, which is what she did. That's the route she went. And suddenly she's getting a bunch of stuff, And so we're like, so what happened? Okay, so again, she and I used to talk a bunch, man. And so, I was kind of like her confidant. Not every now and then she would do the trauma dumping thing, but it was mostly like she would just talk to me because she would ask for my advice. I advised her against this particular course of action, obviously, but she went and did it. I was like, okay, well, do what you got to do, but just don't say I didn't tell you so. And so we're sitting there, we're having dinner one day. Just she and I are having dinner, and she invited me out to go get something to eat, and because I jokingly said, "Wait a second, my good friend makes all this money. Now all of a sudden, you can't talk to me." And I was joking with her. I still hear from her from time to time now, man. And if she hears this, she'll know who it is. But I'll never put her name out. No one else will know about this, obviously. But here's how she got her big break. Okay, it wasn't through her efforts during the fun bedroom activity sessions. It was during some of his fun bedroom activity sessions, but in this particular one, it was she secured some video of some of his behavior. All right. And by some video, I mean a lot, a lot of behavior, and she videotaped some fun bedroom activity of her friend engaging in what can only be described as a World War II themed physical bedroom activity involving a bunch of men, and it wasn't from the Allied side, nor was it from the Japanese side during World War II. You know who was on the other side from the from the Allies. The guys who kind of had that weird salute and that dude with the small mustache. That. So imagine a bunch of dudes, probably a bunch of old dudes or maybe some young dudes. Who knows? I don't know. Dressed like that. That's what she got. Still thinking about, and that's what she got video of, and as she's telling me that, I'm sitting there trying to eat like, you're joking. She's like, no, I'm serious, and I was like, okay. I said, so is that how you got your roles? She was like, yeah. Now, mind you, she was the side piece of this guy. This guy's a married guy, prominent guy, wife, kids, beautiful house in the hills. But a lot of those dudes, especially the super wealthy guys, would have houses in the hills, and then they would have luxury apartments for doing their dirt. This is what they did, right? And so I knew one dude. His dad had 8 women kept in different apartments that he sponsored and paid all the bills for and everything else, man. I'm sure they were all dejected when he passed away. They all had to go to work. But so that's how she got her. That's how she got her. That's how she got her start, man. And now she's doing some producing and some writing, and she's killing it, man. She's doing really, really well. Shout out to her. So proud of her. But she kind of, I won't say swerved into, because, she didn't set up video cameras by accident. But, when she's telling me this, I'm sitting there like, and she starts going into detail, and I was like, I don't want to know exactly what a bunch of, let's just call it what it is, bunch of half-naked men dressed in Nazi regalia engaging in an orgy. Sorry. And so I'm not gonna, she did share a couple of details with me, but nothing of that sort of thing. And I was like, so how did you work this out? She said, well, you know what? I talked to him and I said, look, you promised you were going to help me. And he's like, well, look, I don't really see anything for you. And, maybe this is not the industry for you. That's the usual brush off he was used to giving to every other chick who was like, wait a second, where's my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that you promised me? And that's how he kind of gave him the brush off. And that's a very, very common thing. So, and she said, that's too bad. And he was like, well, we had fun while we were together and blah, 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 the usual shtick. And she said, that's too bad because, that party you had the other night with all those guys dressed up like Nazis? And he, she's relaying this to me. He's like, yeah, so? She was like, well, I've got video. and guess what? Here's the thing, guys. When you got something like that, you don't have to threaten anybody to put it out there. Like if I have something on somebody or somebody has something on me, all I have to do is know that they have that on me. When they come and make a request, as long as it's not too crazy, hey, can you help me with this? Yeah, sure, I got you. No problem. And we'll keep everything civil. And that's the best way to use information like that. Instead, what people do nowadays, they want to shame people on the internet and this and that and the other thing. That's the foolish way to do things. And like I was talking to somebody the other day about, different behaviors and this and that and the other thing. And it's like, look, keep your secrets to yourself. Men, women, whoever you are, do not engage in some of these things with people. Like, look, okay, I know things about people I'll take to the grave. All right, I'm kind of different that way. Uh, Nowadays, people want their clicks and likes and everything else, and they will put your business out in the street for some internet fame. So stop putting your business out in the street. Stop trusting people just because you're having fun bedroom activity with them. I know that sounds weird because you should be able to trust a person that you're having fun bedroom activity with. But however, let's be honest, most people are just engaging it as a physical activity. It's not really a relationship. It's a whole hookup culture. That person doesn't need to know your secrets. Next, if you've got a side piece and you're a married guy, right, you need to treat your side piece well because she can blow up your life. All right. And so, especially if you're a prominent or famous individual, like this guy was really well known. And so, this is what happened to him. So, he learned a lesson. At least I hope so. I mean, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But, I'm pretty sure he learned a very valuable lesson about how to, maintain his life without putting all that stuff out of there. His wife knew he would have girls messing around. If a dude has a house where he keeps his kids and everything else, and then he has another apartment 20 miles away, I mean, unless his work condo where his office is set up, let's be honest, but she knew this, and so she knew what time it was. But the main thing is that these wives expect their husbands to be discreet. Now, I'm sure she probably had a special relationship with the pool boy or the yoga instructor or the guru or whatever. Because like Hollywood is kind of strange, man. Like I actually had a friend. I won't put her name out there, but she got paid thousands of dollars by really rich people to cleanse their auras. So she would actually perform a ceremony and actually watch the ceremony. And I'm sitting there literally, I'm marveling at the genius in marketing that this woman is getting paid for cleansing someone's aura as these people stood there, or, or sat there with this, doing that, doing that. So it's like, and she's making all these really weird movements. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, man. Like she's a genius, beautiful, really tall, really pretty blonde woman. But that's kind of a slow Tuesday in Hollywood, and she got paid like back then. She got paid $10,000 a session to cleanse people's auras. I had a dude that would get paid $8,000 a week to train really wealthy people at his home fitness studio. Now he had a chef and all the rest of that stuff, so it was a very boutique experience, but still, he was training people for $8,000 a week, man. And people were killing. I was like, okay, you know what? I was like, but for me, it was a complete scam. Obviously, the aura cleansing, but the guy who was training people, he trained a lot of famous people for their movie roles, and he would get paid by studios as well too. So he wasn't scamming anybody. They actually got a lot of value out of it. But Hollywood overpays for everything. Let's be honest. But this woman got paid like thousands of dollars just to cleanse auras. And at the end of it, the people felt cleansed, so I guess they got some value out of it. But this is the same place where rich people will take their dogs to a therapist because their dogs might be depressed. And so this is Hollywood. And so when you hear weird stuff coming out of Hollywood, I'm never really surprised just because I've seen so much of this stuff. Anyway, this has been a story time. The side piece goes rogue and strikes gold. And so, if you guys, if you have a side piece, I'm not saying you should. If you're married, don't mess around. Be honorable. But if you do have a side piece or whatever, then treat them well. Don't make empty promises to people that you have no intention of keeping. I saw a lot of guys do that. So a lot of women throw themselves at guys that promised them a whole bunch of things. This is Hollywood, and they got nothing back in return. And so not that you should expect something for having fun bedroom activity with someone unless you happen to be a worker, but these guys would promise women because let's face it, most of these producers and directors, they're not exactly these guys aren't really built like Tarzan, most of them, and so they've got to have some way for women to be attracted to, and because they're not, they're not going after these guys for their looks, right? So anyway, this is your boy Private Eye Russ. Please, while you're here, hit like, subscribe, share the video. Let's get more subscribers. We're just under 1,100. I know I haven't been putting out videos very frequently every day just because work does dictate my activities. And so like last night I got back home at about, man, I was here like, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, slept for a couple hours, then I was back up and out again, working again. And so sometimes my schedule gets really crazy. Sometimes I can make, 5, 6, 7 videos every day. Sometimes I cannot. So I will keep trying to crank these out, guys. And hopefully you guys are getting some value from these. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Also, too, subscribe, follow me on X as well, too.